We're back. 8 o'clock p.m. Whitty Review channel. Hell yeah. Unfortunately, the last one for the year. It is a damn shame. Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, what about tomorrow for the New Year's Eve? That really doesn't have anything to do with Whitty Reviews. We're going to talk a little bit of stuff, but overall, tomorrow at 9 p.m., I haven't scheduled it yet, but that's what the day I have decided to do it is Bohachik Drill 2.0. That's right. We're going to see how much booze it's going to take me to actually get all jacked up. Drew in the chat, not Gabe Whitley in the chat, Ducky in the chat. Let's go. All right, so lots to talk about in 15 minutes. I know we'll get through it, even if I had to talk really fast. Indie Reporter's kind of blowing up right now. We got 2,000 followers on Facebook, and we just grabbed another couple hundred followers on Twitter in the last few days, which has been awesome. It'd be great if we could get to 9,000 followers on Twitter before the end of tomorrow. We just need another hundo. That's it. Another hundo will be just fine. But I was trying to figure out, I was like, well, how are we blowing up? It's got to be the retweets, but who is retweeting us? So I ended up finding this by accident. So Dan Dakich, who follows Indie Reporter, had retweeted one of our stuff, particularly about this one, because you guys all know what's happening in Minnesota right now. If you've been living under a rock the last week, there's a lot of fraud that is happening, and it's being exposed primarily through the daycare. And I want to make sure that I break this down very simply for you guys. What's happening at what the daycare thing is, there are no children there. That's the problem. They're getting funding, public funding, but there's no children in the daycare itself. So the only really way to find out if that's happening here, you have to do boots on the ground and stake out a bunch of joints. Now, I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow because I'm starting to build up a plan. I'm getting more familiar with FSSA website, the PTQ number, the inspections and the red flags, and really the combination of a few things too. And so tomorrow during the Bohachik Drill 2.0, I'm going to try and give a blueprint for all of you guys out there of what to pay attention to. No bong hits with Whitty. No shots with Whitty. That's what it is. So this one. This one is over in Speedway on 30th and Moeller. Now, these are all home, unregistered daycares. That's why you don't see an address on here, because it's supposed to be private. All the home daycares, they are private. However, I will show you a way to bypass that, to find out the actual address, and then you can go into InBiz, see if it's registered, especially if it's a nonprofit, how long they've been around, and you can check out the 990 on ProPublica. Dude, you guys are going to see not only a lot of great information, I know Ducky is excited, but also me boozed up talking about it, and there is no better time to be around me of being boozed up, giving a whole bunch of information. You're going to love it. You guys are going to be bricked up so hard, shooting ropes and everywhere right before New Year's. All right, so I got 2 pages with about 100 tabs all combined. So like this one, this is going through the Indiana Transparency Portal. I'm going to give you guys a whole lot of great information tomorrow. I'm hoping that all of you guys show up. This is in the Indiana Transparency Portal. This is exactly what all of these agencies are spending money and where they get the money, whether it's federal or it's state, how much they are, and who is getting the money. Some of it is a little bit but for the most part, we can find out who is getting like there's Black Onyx Management. I don't know if I have it in here. I'm going to definitely talk about it tomorrow if I don't. I have it. I do have it in here. Okay, there it is. So like Gamblers Assistance Fund, we pointed this out earlier today. You can see that in the fund, what is happening is the more money that is spent on gambling, generally speaking, the more money that will go into this fund. And I thought it was interesting. Back in 2022 is when they really peaked. And it reminds me when Pat McAfee was on part of FanDuel and everybody was given all these crazy bets, especially with the parlays and the deals that are getting up. Drew is getting bricked up. We are so back. That's all that matters as long as Drew is getting bricked. So interesting talk right now because of all the casino talk happening over in the Fort Wayne area, in Indianapolis. So you can... my suspicion is, hey, you know what? We want to build this fund a little bit more. We want people to spend more money. However, this fund is used to help with addiction, whether it's for marketing, whether it's for its actual help, which is really funny because basically the vice creates the harm, then the fund cleans it up, like everything else. So here's is another perfect example. I talked about this on Saturday. I'm going to run through this whole tab real quick. This one was interesting because the Think Ahead Academy, the property, is owned by Fabio de la Cruz from Soho's Capital. How do I know that? Because when you type in the address into the property card, it is registered. The ownership is Overseas Properties. And when you look up the address for Overseas Properties, it's 3919 Lafayette Road, which I already know. That I'm very familiar with that address. You look it up on InBiz, and who owns that? Fabricio Perez, aka Fabio de la Cruz. And we're just going to be talking about money. The second half, we're going to be talking about a lot of bills that just dropped in, I think, today or yesterday. So for another example, the COC, the continuum of care for the homeless. We saw all these things that is happening over in California. The billions of dollars are spent on the homeless industrial complex. Every city is wasting your money, and Indianapolis is no different. Now, I decided to look up, like, well, how much in Indianapolis is being spent on the homeless? Just federal spending, by the way. In the last 4 years, really, $41 million in federal homeless grants, the continuum of care. That's how much? 10 years? About $82 million. I kind of wonder now that I'm thinking it out loud, like how many homeless people are there and how many of them were actually helped? Like what's like the mission accomplished look like? What's the return on investment? How do we know that we're doing well? There's probably no trackers to it. However, there was a little bit funny when you look in the HUD for the demographic summary by gender, when it shows more than one gender, 7 of them. They even have non-binary, they have questioning, they have transgender. This is the kind of stuff, the kind of data that matters, apparently. And the one thing that I have been saying for a long time is the majority of these homeless people, they are not interested in being part of society. They care more about doing drugs more than anything else. All these homeless people can stop being homeless if they just stop doing drugs. Of course, you do have the exception of the rule where people just want to be nomads and they don't want to have anything to do with society. That's fine. Whatever. I just don't want to pay for it. Bloated salaries. That's right, too. That, too, yeah. We haven't even gotten into the homeless stuff yet. So another thing that we spent, this is what's great about USA Spending. You can find out exactly how much we're spending on some of these things. For example, $373,000 went to the Afghan evacuees at Camp Atterbury between 21 and 22. And what happened after that? Well, they were flinging poo on the wall. They were destroying the stuff. This is what happens when you bring in the third world who has no concept of indoor plumbing. They just ruin the whole joint. We pay $373,000. What do we get in return? A trashed up Camp Atterbury that we're going to have to use taxpayer monies to fix that. Spiro in the chat, let's go. And we talk about these refugee services for weeks now. And don't forget, we fund it no matter what, whether it's with Ukrainian, whether it's with Afghan, and it's through Exodus Refugee, Catholic Charities, God is Good Foundation. Most of these are all faux just so they can make some money off of it. Now, we're just going to be talking about wasting money for this first half. Indigo is the prime example of it. The brass ring, I don't know if it's brass ring, but definitely the pinnacle of wasting money. Here's a perfect example of it. Hold on, let me scroll. Oh, I can't scroll down. Tyler Mitchell shows $432 million was the Indigo budget, or it's going to be the Indigo budget for next year. Now, only 1.3% of Indianapolis uses public transportation. In fact, for the commuting, there are more than double the amount of people that use bicycle, motorcycle, walked, or other. So that means less people are using public transportation than just walking. Go figure. I don't want to be around a schizo bum ready to light the bus on fire. And by the way, I did look into it. A lot of people in the comments are bitching. He's like, well, that's not the operating budget. That's the budget. That's exactly what we're talking about. $432 million. A lot of it's being spent on the blue line, though. Yeah, I'll talk about this real quick. There is a little bit of a conspiracy that I'm having. A little like, I don't know how many rabbit holes I want to go down to find out exactly like how bad it gets. But one of the unsung things, the underrated things that I definitely think we need to talk about is who are getting the contracts for these repairs, for these services. Take, for example, GW Commercial Services. They have gotten a lot of money. I'll show you real quick. GW Commercial Services, they have gotten a lot of money in the last 10 years. Actually, forever, since 2008. I think they peaked. Yeah, they peaked in 2015 for $12.4 million. In 2025, they had $7.7 million. I think there's something going on here, but I can't confirm yet. Just pure speculation, by the way. And it's not just them. I mean, you look, there was another one. Artisan Construction, for example, another $10.5 million, another $10.1 million in 2024, 3.8 in 2025. Now, Artisan is construction. They are doing some renovation to the Birch Bayh Federal Building, the Judge's Chambers renovation project for $1.5 million. So I decided to take all of it combined, and I wanted to see. These were all the contracts. I forgot for how far it goes out, but I wanted to see how many Birch Bayh Federal buildings that they had. 37 different contracts they had for the Birch Bayh Federal Building. Now, I don't know anything about these people. However, one would have to think if you are getting that many federal contracts, what do you know? Who are you donating to? And what are you doing? And are you overinflating your prices? That's what I would like to know. Now, GW Commercial Services is a nonprofit. What's very interesting, and you can take this however you want, and I'm going to look like a complete douchebag on this, though. They talk about how Goodwill does, or I think it's Goodwill Contracting Services or Commercial Services. In their 990, it shows GWCS operates 10 Ability One contracts at federal government sites in central and southern Indiana and employs approximately 146 individuals with significant disabilities. Of course, I can make a few jokes about that. I won't, however. I know a little unusual for me because I don't know what's going on. When you say disability, what exactly does that mean? Are you missing an arm? Did you get your cock blown off? Are you missing your tongue? Any of and all the above? Or are you like, do you have a bunch of autists with you? Do you have about a $150 full of autists out there? I'm not sure. Do you have like a peg leg with a parrot on you? I don't know. But when we talk about the nonprofits, this is where it's important too. And I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow because this is where we start getting into the weeds a little bit. This particular nonprofit, let me check on it. It's a Children's Bureau. Now, Children's Bureau got almost $38 million in government grants right here. Government grants mean that is taxpayer money, baby. But when you look at the executive salary, $3.5 million of that goes to their executives, with their CEO making over $550 million or $550,000 a year. That is wild, absolutely wild. And not only that, this is where it gets really goofed up. Not only that, but they're also giving that that government money to other nonprofits, which is crazy. This is very Elevate Ventures. They even give it to their own foundation too. Nonprofits are a joke. 100% not Gabe Whitley. Welcome back. Glad you got it out of the booty house, right? No longer get your poop punched in. I'm sure you were somebody's nice type bussy for them. So anyway, this is what I would consider very eyebrow raising. I don't like it at all. I don't like the fact that nonprofits are even allowed to do this. They're able to get $38 million, and then they're able to give, I don't even know how much this is. I should find out exactly. Actually, you know what? Let's find out right now. I bet. Hold on. How much time? Oh, yeah, we got plenty of time. Okay. Hold on. Give me a second. We're going to figure this out right now. Copy. Boom. New sheet. Biggity bam boom. Bam. This is how you do it, boys. Equal sum, baby. Let's go. $3.5 million worth of grants right there from all those grants. So they got, all right, so let's do the math real quick. Let's do some public school math real quick. They got $38 million just in government grants. That doesn't include the other grants or gifts on letter F. I was going to say 4. All right, so they got $38 million in taxpayer money. $3.5 million of that went to the executive salaries. And then another $3.5 million went to other grants, which is bananas to me that you're even allowed to do that to other nonprofits. I don't like any bit of it, but don't you worry. It gets worse. Lots of black pills tonight. All right, so this is the Indie Reporter Discord. If you don't know what Special Power, let's go. If you guys don't know what Discord is, it's not really you could treat it as a blog, but it's more or less just, I'm using this Discord as a way to save all my notes and to let everybody know what Indie Reporter is working on. And this is going to be the best example of this. Now, not saying that Golden Gardens is doing anything, but I think there's so much fraud that we have to look under every rock. The Veteran Affairs, I think, has so much fraud in it. I just don't know how to prove any of it. I don't even know what to look for. Do we look for how many contracts are given out? How many of the same people are getting out? What? It's all going to be like Medicaid services, I think, just like in VA. Like, what kind of service are you getting, and then is that service being inflated? I'll give you a perfect example. I think Becky Cash should come back on the Mouthwash show and talk about her Medicaid bill. This bill is going to solve a lot of things, and I will be juicing the shit out of it as long as I'm being told the truth. Basically, we're going to find out if any of these services done through Medicaid are being inflated. For example, you are a patient, you go to and get a service done. That doctor says, well, I did 5 hours worth of blank service, when in reality, you did 2 hours of that service. Now, the doctor is able to make that 3 hours up through the Medicaid, through your taxpayer money. Now, how it would work is the patient would have to verify that they actually performed that amount of time of said service. That is going to be a lot of oversight right off the bat. That will save a shit ton of money on Medicaid. And this is what Democrats don't understand either. If you are a Democrat out there, you should love of what's happening right now. Not so much the fraud, but the fact that it's being called out. Because what happens when you're able to save a shit ton of money from Medicaid fraud? You no longer have it. Guess what? That means you get more people on Medicaid because you have all that extra money now. So everybody that's on a wait list, they are no longer on a wait list. Democrats should want to get rid of fraud so that money can be used on more people. However, all they see is money, 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 and all they want to do is waste all of yours. Go figure. So let me give you another example. I knew what this was, but I wanted to bring this up because these are the roadblocks, one can say, or speed limits that you have, why a lot of this takes for a very long time. There are two different companies right here with the same address, Keys to Work and Workforce. Now, they both go to the same address. And then when you look into other names, you'll see Keys to Work and, Workforce Inc., but also known as it also works as DBA Recycle Force, which I know where Recycle Force is. Basically, you have a bunch of ex-cons, and then they get a job working at a recycling plant. And you can see how much federal money is being spent on here. Here's where it gets a little bit weird. In the USA spending thing, it shows that this money is being sent to. This is where it gets a little bit confusing. Because on the main page, it shows it's going to 1255 Roosevelt Avenue. But on the recipient identifier for the address, it goes to 816 North Sherman. Now, North Sherman is the address for Recycle Force. The 1255 Roosevelt Avenue goes to here. The Chancellor A. Kiesling Recycling Center and the Keys to Work employment. I got this from Google Maps. Here's, hold on. Do I have the other part? Hold on. There it is. This is where Diego needs to stop goofing up. I looked up the address. Hold on. Is this it? There it is. They got $5 million. Oh, no, that's not black. That's it. Not it. Where the okay. I didn't put it on there. That sucks. When you look up the address for the 1255 Roosevelt, you have to do it by avenue, AVE, and how you actually spell it, AVENUE. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Boom, bam. Okay, there you go. That's where the invis is really messed up. That's why it takes even longer to look up things, because you might miss something because it's not spelled avenue, it's just spelled Ave. Now, here's another classic example, Black Onyx Management. This is from the FSSA, I think. Yeah, right here, FSSA Mental Health and Addiction. They are getting $5 million worth of contracts right here, expenditures through FSSA. However, for some reason, they are getting a loan for almost $450,000, if I remember right. Yeah. Why would a company that is getting millions of dollars in taxpayer money need a $450,000 federal loan? Doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Also, there's more Fabio addresses that have daycare centers on them. Not entirely convinced that there's anything nefarious going on, but it does make me raise my eyebrow. Let's see. Children's Bureau. Wait a minute. Did I already talk about this one? Is this the $38 million one? Yeah. Now, how these daycare centers get funded is through the CCDF a lot of the times. You can get privately funded too, but how it normally works is you have like low income or refugees or underserved areas. It really based on low income though. And what happens is you find a daycare center, you make sure that they're a CCDF provider, which is like childcare funding, development funding, something like that. On this webpage, you can see federal funding from it, where it is. I think it's 200. Yeah, total federal only funds $277 million through it. That doesn't really matter so much. Hold on. I have all my tabs messed up right now. I was going all schizo last night. Oh, that's Black Onyx. Okay, good on that. Good on that. Good on that. Black Onyx. Okay. Okay. Then comes back today. Now, I will tell you what, if you guys are not following maybe Daniel on Twitter, she is a great information source for trucking. There's a couple of them. She is top tier for sure. This is like, basically, if I didn't have a full-time job, this is what I am doing what she is doing right now. She is doing this like every second of the day, even on Christmas. She is going through all these companies and finding out how many truck drivers there are, how many inspections they've had, and how many failed ones they've had. She's doing some great information looking for all of this. Yeah, the nonprofits, Tommy Ice in the chat. Now, this got brought up with a tweet from Big Dump Chops talking about 20 years ago, this neighborhood went up in Greenwood, east of 65. I know exactly where this is at, by the way. Big Jeet area. I was working with a utility company as it was being built. A few rich Indians bought tons of property here and then rented it to their homeland people coming over. I'm sure several of your DOT addresses are here. Now, turns out that's true. 11 houses, each list 2 companies. 2 houses, each list 3 companies. 2 houses, each list 4 companies. Most operate 1 to 2 trucks, but we do have a few fleets. 22 trucks, 18 trucks, 14 trucks, 11 trucks. So I know that my neighbor is Indian, and I know right here. And wait a minute, is that it? Should be, yes. So I know because I talked to him and I said, well, when he first bought the house a few years ago, I was out doing some woodworking, and I asked him, I was like, well, are you going to be living here? Or are you going to be renting it out? And he said, he originally told me he was going to be living here. And I was like, I just don't believe that at all. And so far, he's rented it out a couple of times, and they always happen to be Indian. So I looked up the address at 37 Myron Avenue, literally right behind me. My back is facing their house right now. And the address of the homeowner, Anil Yadav, however you want to pronounce that, I don't give a shit, and it goes to 39 Legacy Boulevard in Greenwood. So I look up the address 39 or 399 Legacy Boulevard through search carriers, and what do I see? Spice Trans Incorporated, a trucking company. Wow, who would have guessed, huh? So crazy. I might have to. We'll be back soon. All right, I want to make sure I prove this, get this point across too. 399 Legacy Boulevard. We're gonna go to. Oh my God, really? Really, out of all the times of the day, InBiz is down right now? No way. Really? You jerk offs. You guys are the worst. Well, anyway, there's like 3 different addresses on there. I think there's like Dill Management and then MIA Development that is coming out of that 399 Legacy Boulevard. I think I was able to find Dill and MIA, but they go to Indianapolis. So I'll have to double check on that. However, if you go on to the property card and you look up Anal Yadav, there's another ad. It comes up through InBiz. It comes up through 8512 Iron Hill Court, which is owned by Armander Sohi and Rap Jinder Sohi, a couple of Star Wars names, basically. Yeah. Well, since InBiz is down, I can't do anything. Others are going to show you it. But yeah, there are, guess what? A couple of transportation companies that come out of that as well. Who would have guessed, huh? Oh, here it is right here. Grow More Transport. Who would have guessed, huh? Another transportation company off of some Indian. Interesting. Yeah, I can't do anything with InBiz right now. I'm so annoyed. And then the Iron Hill Court comes out of some house in Indy. I wonder how much it's worth. Yeah, some $500,000 home over in Franklin Township. Can't do anything with that. There's that. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about bills real quick. This is where everything gets a little bit interesting. Because all these bills are now showing up, and I cannot wait to talk about it. We got 20 minutes left. Perfect. Let's look at this one. Homeowners Association Governance. Now, this would create a, what is it? I forgot. I don't want to give you wrong on this. HOA members. It's basically speed cops. What was it called? To provide HOA price that. Oh no, this is for a meeting notice. This isn't the one. There it is. Homeowners. Oh yeah, traffic enforcement unit. So these mega HOAs that have 1,500 homes, or like, they're actually very specific on it too. 1,500 lots or covers 15 miles of private roads owned by the HOA. They are able to have traffic cop, basically, and that they're just on the HOA, nothing past that. However, this is where I want to know. This is what I would love clarification. They have to be trained by ALEA, which is the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. Now, who pays for that? Do the taxpayers pay for that, or do the HOAs pay for that? That's what I would like to know. Because if the taxpayers are funding training for these traffic cops that are to be used on private roads for this private HOA, the unelected boards, or for the most of us, what the fuck? What the fuck? All right, so the naturalization examination, this bill cracks me up. I love it. So basically, it is a citizenship and immigration test, or a civics test that the immigrants have to take if you want to be a citizen. And where is it? Requires a student to complete the exam with a score of not less than 70% in order to graduate high school. The bill allows a student to retake the exam and allows certain students to obtain an academic waiver for the exam. It makes conforming changes. This is the part that I do not like. It allows certain students to obtain an academic waiver. Unless you have Downs or something, I don't think you should have any kind of waiver, because the waiver will be used on what? People who don't speak English that well, which is what we're trying to avoid. So there's a lot. Oh, here we go. Lane expansion of I-70. Oh, look at that, huh, boys? Tanya Plath, who's a Democrat. What do you got here? The bill requires INDOT to take action necessary to construct one or more additional lanes of traffic across Indiana, eastbound and westbound. So they want to add a lane on 70. I did not expect this from a Democrat. Usually they are not for expanding highways, except for this one. Very unusual. Can they get an academic waiver for the bar exam? I don't know. I'm not sure. That's a great question. Great question. I feel like there's somebody who would know that, but I don't know who they are. Okay, so let me put that all the way. Got an eyelash in my eye. All right, so where's Brad at? Because he'll love this bill. The display of the 10 Commandments requires each school corporation to place a durable poster or frame pictures representing the text of the 10 Commandments in each school library and classroom. Love it. You know what? I didn't even care about the bill, but I just love that Democrats will lose their mind over it. That's all I care about. Okay, uniform recognition of Canadian protection borders. This is from Ed Delaney. I actually had to look what this bill is all about. So basically what it would do, as far as I can tell, is that there is a domestic violence protection order and you're in Canada, it should apply to Indiana as well. Oh, he's going to a fish concert. Why am I not surprised? So if you have a protection order against somebody in Canada, it would apply to whoever it is in Indiana. I don't know how that's going to work with border laws, however. New York City. I'm sure he's going to go wank off Ma'am Dammy. All right, overdose reversal medication. I actually did not even get a chance to read this one. All right, let's read it. Let's read it together. The bill provides that, subject to available funding, the Division of Mental Health and Addiction may develop an application to provide funds to school corporation or school maintained by a school corporation to obtain FDA-approved opioid overdose reversal medication. So you're going to try and get overdose reversal medication in schools? Yeah. Or are you going to have like some, why? Well, okay, hold on. Andrade. Oh, Andrade. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Are there overdoses happening in schools? I'm sure fentanyl laced. Okay, so a high school student recently survived an overdose from a THC vape pen contaminated with fentanyl, highlighting the dangers of counterfeit. Okay, so that's why probably. Well, this one's in Perry Township. Mike Andrade is over in Northwest Indiana, like East Chicago area. Because he talks like this. Hello, I'm Mexican, and I can talk like this. All right, well, whatever. Fuck them. You know what? This is what Darwin was trying to tell us. Not all of us are going to make it. If you're that dumb, then you have to die. That's just how it's going to work. It's the weakest link. If you're going to smoke something random, especially if it's a THC vape laced with fentanyl, guess what? You're going to die. Sucks for you. Try not to do it. Don't smoke random shit. Easy to do. Seems pretty easy to do. But we got Rep Vernon Smith, which I think he's in like the Gary area. He wants to establish the Hoosier Scam Prevention Board to be staffed by FSA, the board is compromised with 15 members. And not only that, but there are costs to it. The total expenses for the board will depend on the number of meetings. Mileage reimbursement is 49 cents per mile. So you want to have government to have some scam prevention board and what to do from preventing yourself from being scammed. Well, guess what? There's only one group of people that's doing all the scamming. Hate to break it to you, and maybe they need to die. That's all I'm gonna say. Eddie Merlot's. What's Eddie Merlot? Is that a wine? Is that a place? Where's that? Huh? Oh, it's a Cooper's Hawk. A Timu Cooper's Hawk. Is that why there's overdoses happening there? Jay Van Brown in the chat. Let's go. All right. So coverage for cancer screening. Like, listen, I understand this is all good and that you want to have your coverage for cancer screening. However, I think there are limitations where where the government shouldn't be forcing health plans to have it. And this one is for state employee health plans to cover supplemental breast examinations, basically for booby cancer. Requires a policy of accident and sickness insurance and health maintenance organizations to cover diagnostic breast examinations and supplemental breast examinations. Now, that's just going to increase the health coverage for everybody, because that's going to have to get covered. And the only way to minimize the amount of extra money that the taxpayers are going to have to pay for taxpayer-funded employees is that everybody's going to have to be on it. So, boys, get your bitch tits out. You're going to get your boobies examined. And the same thing for certain cancer prescriptions. So apparently state employees are not only getting paid days off for federal holidays, they're also going to have the best state coverage employee health plan there is. Wonderful. All right. And then Corey Criswell wants to have a Rush County food and beverage tax. There must be something going on. The only thing that I can think of is that this is because of SB1, or they are wanting to build some development stuff out. That is the only reason to have food and beverage tax of what I have noticed. I think last year when I talked about like Boone County or Whitestown area, they wanted to raise the hotel tax up too. It's kind of wild. Yep, Dub Bears is right. All right, school chaplains. I'm sure if Brad was watching here, if he wasn't going to New York City to go to a Fish concert, he would really appreciate this bill. This one's back, boys. The bill allows a principal or superintendent of a public school, including a charter school, to employ or approve as a volunteer a school chaplain if certain requirements are met. Jury duty exemption for women breastfeeding. Now, listen, I don't understand this part at all. You have a bill that it will exempt women who is breastfeeding from jury duty. However, I thought we were supposed to do all equality. Also, I thought like breastfeeding in public was okay now. Now, this is from Stacey Donato, who I think voted no on redistricting, so she might need to be deported. But what's the big deal? What, you're like doing a jury? Is it because of the kid? So you got to pump while you're in a jury for a murder case? So why don't you just bring a pump to the jury thing? Why not? Don't you lactate? Only from a dick, Drew. Only from a dick. Okay, boys. Drew in the house. All right, D2 Indy in the house. Let's go. D2 Indy, are you not pumped for tomorrow? Are you as hard as I am right now thinking about the Bohachic drill? All right, so this will get you juiced up. The homestead property tax freeze. You can be sequestered. What does that mean? Milked? Is that being milked? The bill freezes an individual's property tax liability attributable to the individual's homestead based on the date on which individual acquired an ownership interest in the homestead. Now, everybody's going to be, this will go nowhere. Basically, this will freeze your property taxes in 2026. After that, you sometimes aren't allowed to go home for weeks. Well, that depends, right? I don't think it should exclude them. There should be like exemptions for it, though. Like, hey, guess what? I got a pump, but it shouldn't completely exclude you if you're only there for a couple of hours or a day. Like, you know, it's going to be longer, then sure. Like, I don't know. Who could say? You know what? I don't have tits, so whatever. I don't milk. All right. I'm not pumping anything out of my boobs. So anyway, this is what's going to freak all these local people out. This is why it won't go anywhere. 203. Okay, the homeowner property tax bills will be reduced by an estimated $203 million in 2027 and $576 million in 2028. That's why it's not going to go anywhere, because if you freeze them after next year, you're going to be talking about losing almost $1 billion in property tax revenue for the state. So that's not going anywhere. But you know what, Heath Van Natter? I like where you're going. This might be the gayest thing that I've ever seen. The bill establishes a state bullying ombudsman position within the Department of Education. It establishes the duties of the what the hell is an ombudsman? Is that like a principal? Hold on. What the hell is it? A government official investigates and tries to resolve complaints. You're going to have a bully czar is what you're going to have. That is so fucking stupid. I'm sorry that I'm using such harsh language, but this is dumb. We actually need more bullying. All right, we need less soy people out there who is okay with getting their feelings hurt. Want to know why we have so many libtards that to shoot everybody up? Is because they haven't been bullied enough. We need to bring back hard authority is what we need. We need something. We might need to bring back the paddles, not for the freaks. I know if some of you want to get choked out there. However, there needs to be more consequences to actions. I keep telling you, the boo box is revolutionary. Just bring it. Okay, so the bill requires the Department of Education to provide staff and administrative support for the bully czar and post the bully czar's contact information on the. How much is going to cost us? Oh, here we go. The state bullying czar established by the bill will increase the annual expenditures for the DOA by an estimated $240,000 to $400,000. That is so dumb. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know what? You are correct, not Gabe Whitley. You would be NG Dub. Some people will sue you if you hurt their feelings. It's true. We have so many bitch ass pussies out there who need to be deported ASAP. Now, this one was interesting. Talk of going back to property. This has nothing to do with property taxes per se, but I went a little bit deep diving. I let ChatGPT do the figuring out for me. So basically what this would do is that you have all these land flippers, right? They see into the future. They get their Johnny Carson ball and they say, yabba dabba doo. And they say, I think this land is going to be worth a lot of money. I'm going to buy this land. I'm going to register it under an agriculture, as in I'm going to do farming, but I'm actually not going to do any farming to it. And then about 5 years, when all these development starts coming my way, I can sell for a shit ton of money. So basically what this bill would do is they would say, nah. If you're not farming on it, you're not going to get the tax benefit either. Either farm it or you're going to get paid the fair market value. And so... yeah, exactly, Jay Van Brown. Too much pansyism. We need to end that. If anything, we need a pansy reducing czar. I don't know what word. I'll have ChatGPT figure out the actual the name for it. But we need the official spanker. Yeah, I'm sure Mo would know all about that. Speaking of my shitbag state rep, let's look what he filed so far. All right, remedium. Okay, so basically the same thing that he filed last year. The remediation of tax parcel varies in administrative law. Whereas the remediation of that, okay, of course, because he's a dipshit. Shocker, I can't believe it. He's only filed 2 bills, too. Well, I mean, we have until the end of the week for them to the rest of them come out, but I don't think any more are coming out. I know a short session and all, but geez. Oh, this is about the horse racing. This is definitely a Bose bill. Pussy. Yes. All right. So then we have same day voter registration from our Democrat state rep, John Bartlett, who is in Indianapolis. First off, Bartlett, eat crap. That's never going to happen. However, he does have a bill that would not allow cops under, I don't know. Who's, what word am I thinking of? Who's detective work? They're undercover. Yeah, it would allow cops who are undercover to not use taxpayer funds for prostitution. So basically, I want to know, is this a problem? Is this a problem where undercover cops are paying for hookers and then screwing these hookers? Right here it says, it also provides that law enforcement officer who knowingly or intentionally engages in sexual intercourse or other sexual conduct with an individual has an individual fondle or agree to fondle the genitals of the law enforcement officer or fondles the genitals of an individual under circumstances relating to a law enforcement officer. Hey, guess what? No fondling of the balls allowed. Too much lady boys out there, maybe. And then they'll turn into a felony. So the undercover cops are no longer able to get toppy from the hookers using taxpayer funds. Very interesting. Police investigations relating to prostitution, voter day and registration. All right, so this one apparently, this is from Kyle Pierce for the sale and resale of event tickets. I'm still trying to get more information on this one. From what it sounds like, the smaller venues are getting hosed on the resellers, especially on people that are trying to resell tickets, but then There's like some weird thing that's happening, and then basically you have to have a bill for it. I have it written down. It's not that important of a bill. This one, I have no idea what it is. Okay. The last 5 minutes of the last Whitty Review show of the year. Doxing. There is a bill from a bunch of senators. Now, this is interesting. Vanetta Becker, Aaron Freeman, Glick, Gene Lysing, Greg Good, Charbonneau, Deere, and Greg Walker. Guess what? These were all, most of them, I think. I don't think Aaron Freeman or maybe possibly Glick, but these are all people that got swatted. So I think this is a retaliation of the swatting. So now they have a doxing bill, which is going to be very interesting because all of this is public information. So how are you going to say that you're doxing my address when all of it is public information, though? Like, you register it with the state when you run for office. So I don't know exactly. It's going to be very broad. It's going to be very interesting. But what I have a feeling what this is probably from is their personal phone numbers are getting out. I don't think it's so much about the address. I think people were and by the way, we have them all too. We talked to somebody who's deep in the deep, and I personally reached out to this person's actually very well known, million followers that I was able to talk to for a brief moment. And I asked them, so I have their phone numbers, but I don't think it's a good idea that I post them. And they're like, yeah, it's not a good idea at all. It's actually probably going to be worse if you do. It'll look really bad. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm not going to do that. So even though all their phone numbers were posted, I did not do that. I would have never done that, by the way, because that's lame. It would have been a net negative overall. But I don't know how this is. I don't think anything's actually going to happen this year. I think it's just bringing it up to get the conversation rolling, and then they'll probably fix it. But anybody voting for this, I will make sure that you guys at least have a primary, because this is crap. Now, this local option income tax is interesting. Hold on. How many do I have left? Positive personal. Okay. Okay, yeah. Let's do this one real quick, and then we'll do this one. All right, positive personal outcomes. The bill includes instruction that stresses the nature and importance of the positive personal societal outcomes associated with obtaining a high school diploma, securing full-time employment, and waiting till marriage to have children, existing good citizenship instruction. We have to have a bill to tell people in public schools that, hey, not waiting to screw until you're married is a good idea. Having a full-time job is a good idea. Having a high school diploma is a good idea. That this actually has to become law to let these children know that. I don't understand it, but whatever. All right, this one is going to be interesting. Hold on. I want to pull up my Chat GPT for this one because this one was goofy as crap. Basically, the bill taxes people where they live, where they work, but hinges on defining principal placement of employment. Remote work, paper offices, and multi-county businesses make that easy to game and hard to enforce, creating loopholes. I was trying to figure out, what does this bill actually do? The local income tax is tied to where you live, not where you work. But this bill says if you live in County A, but your primary job or business in County B, you owe local income tax to both counties. But County B tax rate is capped at a quarter of the combined local income tax paid by residents County B. You get a credit in your home county for what you paid to work for. Well, this is going to be really hard, though. This is because there are people that work in Marion County but live in Hamilton County, or vice versa, or Johnson, or pick your flavor, and they want that money basically. And I'm sure this has something to do with SB1, would be my guess. And this is them saying, hey, guess what? We want that money, and this is how we're going to get it. We want it all. We even a little bit of a taste, because government loves to waste your money. But there's going to be a lot of loopholes, and there's going to be a lot of cleanup on the language. You're going to have to get really defined on this data. And from what it looks like, there ain't crap. This is just a blanket bill, and they'll probably try to redefine it in committee if it goes anywhere. I don't think it goes anywhere, though. And even on here, as above date, the fiscal analysis of this bill has not been completed. Please contact OFM analysis for an update of this fiscal statement. That means this thing is going to be so bananas, so complicated that they probably won't even be able to figure it. I mean, they'll be able to figure it out, but like having things on paper is fun, but having them in the real world is completely different. All right. Polly in the chat showing up. All right. That is all. Get ready, Johnny GOP. What is happening tomorrow? 9:00 p.m. The Bohatchik Drill 2.0, D2 Indies bricked, Drew is bricked. I'm excited. We're going to talk about a whole range of stuff. I'm already building a whole collage. I got 3 hours to get into to drink a lot of booze to get into the Bohatchik realm of drunkenness or blood alcohol level. Pick your poison. No driving allowed, though. So you guys have a perfect moment for this show, courtesy of Average White Band. Right on. All right, so you guys have a great night. Have a great New Year's. I'll see you next year. Love you guys. Bye.